Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening.
The sun dipped below the horizon as the welcoming ceremony on the outskirts of Geneva commenced. Under the fading light, a mixture of diplomats, scientists, and curious onlookers gathered to greet the newest visitor from the stars. The air buzzed with anticipation and the gentle hum of translating devices. Alex, a cultural liaison appointed by the United Nations, adjusted his microphone before addressing the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks a historic day. We welcome a member of the Ilari, a civilization from beyond our solar system, who comes in peace and curiosity. The crowd murmured with excitement as a slender figure approached the platform. Her skin shimmered subtly under the Earth's atmosphere, reflecting an iridescent spectrum of colors that was not native to this world. Her name was Elira, and her eyes scanned the assembly with a calm, measured interest. "Thank you, Alex, and thank you, people of Earth," Elira spoke, her voice resonating clearly through the translators. "I am here to learn, to understand, and to exchange knowledge. I hope my time here will be enlightening for us all." As the formalities concluded, Alex approached Elira with a friendly smile. "I hope the journey wasn't too taxing. Earth's gravity can be a bit demanding at first." Elira nodded, stepping down from the platform with a grace that belied her unfamiliarity with the planet's pull. "It is different, but not unpleasant. Your planet is very beautiful. Shall we show you around? There's a lot to see, and even more to experience," Alex suggested. "That would be excellent. I am eager to observe your cultural practices firsthand," Elira replied. They walked toward a small, electric vehicle, and Alex gestured for Elira to get inside. "We've arranged for you to stay in a guest house that's been prepared for your needs. It's quiet, away from the city's hustle so you can rest." "That is very considerate, thank you," she said as they buckled in. The vehicle hummed to life, gliding smoothly along the road. "As a cultural liaison, it's my job to make sure you get the best Earth experience," Alex continued, navigating the vehicle through the scenic route that overlooked the lake. "Tomorrow, we'll start with a tour of some historical sites, and maybe a bit of local cuisine." "How does that sound?" "Delightful. I read about your food. It's very diverse," Elira commented, looking out at the passing landscape. Alex laughed. "That's one way to put it. Any preferences on where to start?" "I am told your Mediterranean and East Asian cuisines are exemplary," she stated, turning back to him with a curious tilt of her head. "Then Mediterranean it is for lunch tomorrow. Fresh seafood by the shore," Alex planned out loud, getting a nod of approval from Elira. As they continued their drive, Elira observed the night lights starting to twinkle on. "Your use of energy is quite efficient. I noticed the transition from natural to artificial light is almost seamless. We've come a long way with sustainable energy. It's crucial for our survival," Alex explained, proud to share Earth's advancements. The ride continued with Elira asking questions about everything from governance to social norms, and Alex provided insights into human life, setting the stage for a profound cultural exchange. As they reached the guest house, Elira expressed her gratitude for the warm welcome. "Thank you for today, Alex. I look forward to learning more." "As do we," Alex replied with a genuine smile. "Rest well, Elira. Tomorrow promises to be an enlightening day for us both." As he drove back to the city, Alex couldn't help but feel that this encounter might just be the beginning of something truly extraordinary. The next morning, Alex arrived at Elira's guest house just as the sun was beginning to warm the crisp air. He found Elira standing outside, looking intrigued by the small garden surrounding the property. "Good morning, Elira. Did you sleep well?" Alex asked as he approached, carrying a small bag of pastries. "Very well, thank you. Your planet's night sounds are quite soothing," Elira responded, her attention shifting from a blooming rose to Alex. "What do you have there?" "Breakfast," Alex said, opening the bag to reveal an assortment of croissants and other baked goods. "I thought we could start the day with something light before heading out." Elira examined the pastries with a curious eye. "They look very different from each other. Is there a reason for that?" "Each one has a different filling or topping. Variety is something we humans enjoy," Alex explained, handing her a plain croissant. "Try this one first. It's simple but delicious," Elira took a bite, her eyes lighting up with pleasure. It's very good. The texture is unlike anything we have. Pleased with her reaction, Alex smiled. I'm glad you like it. Today, I thought we'd explore some of the historical sites I mentioned yesterday. There's a great spot by the sea that gives a panoramic view of the ancient ruins and the modern cityscape. That sounds fascinating, Elira said as they got into the vehicle. The drive to the historical site was filled with casual conversation about Earth's architecture and Elira's own planet's construction techniques, which fascinated Alex. When they arrived, the ruins of an ancient civilization lay sprawled before them, with the sea providing a stunning backdrop. This site dates back over 2,000 years, Alex explained as they walked among the ruins. It was a major center for trade and culture. Elira listened intently, touching the aged stones gently. You preserve your history very well. It's a good way to remember and learn from the past. Yes, it's something we're very passionate about, Alex agreed. They continued to explore the site, with Alex pointing out significant locations and explaining their historical significance. After the tour, they settled down at a nearby restaurant overlooking the sea. As promised, Alex ordered a variety of Mediterranean dishes. Each dish has its own history, Alex noted as they began to eat. For instance, this dish, he said, pointing to a bowl of olives, is simple but has been a staple for millennia. Elira tasted each dish, asking questions about the ingredients and preparation methods. Your food not only tastes diverse, but each also tells a story. It's quite captivating. I'm glad you think so, Alex said. It's a big part of who we are. As they ate, a couple of Alex's colleagues, John and Maria, joined them. Introductions were made, and soon the table was buzzing with discussions about cultural similarities and differences. John, an anthropologist, was particularly interested in Elira's perspectives. Do you have anything similar to our restaurants on your planet? In a way, yes, but our food sharing is more functional, less social, Elira explained. This concept of gathering to share a meal is quite beautiful. Maria, a linguist, asked about the Ilari language, and Elira shared some basic phrases. The group was eager to learn, and Elira was an enthusiastic teacher. As the meal came to an end, Alex proposed a visit to a nearby art gallery. Art is another way we express ourselves. I think you'll find it quite interesting. Elira agreed eagerly, and the group set off to the gallery. The day was turning into a perfect blend of learning and sharing, deepening the connection between Elira and her human hosts. After the art gallery visit, Alex suggested a change of pace for the evening. How about a movie night? It could be a fun way to introduce you to more of our culture through cinema, he proposed as they left the gallery. That sounds intriguing. What kind of films would we be watching? Elira asked, her interest piqued by the concept of storytelling through moving images, which was not common in her culture. I thought we'd start with a classic, something like Casablanca. It's a great representation of old Earth romance and conflict, Alex explained. I am eager to learn more about human emotions through your art, Elira responded with a smile. They drove to Alex's apartment where he had a small home theater set up, ideal for their movie night. Once there, they were joined by two more of Alex's colleagues, Tom and Lucas, who were both keen on film and eager to discuss their perspectives with Elira. As they settled in, Lucas popped some popcorn, handing a bowl to Elira. This is a traditional movie snack here on Earth, he said. Elira tasted it cautiously, then nodded in approval. It's quite enjoyable. I see why it's popular. With everyone comfortable, Alex started the film. Throughout the movie, Elira asked questions about various cultural references and historical contexts, which Tom, a historian, was more than happy to explain. After the movie ended, the discussion turned more interactive. How do you perceive the emotional expressions in the film? Were they very different from what you were used to? Alex asked, curious about her reaction. Elira considered for a moment before answering. Your expressions are very vivid. We do have emotions, but we often keep them subdued and communicate more through thought than action. That's quite different from us, Lucas noted. We're pretty open about how we feel, sometimes to a fault. I think there's something beautiful about being so expressive, Elira added thoughtfully. It makes the connections between individuals seem very strong. Encouraged by her interest, Tom suggested they show Elira a more modern film next. How about something like Inception? It's a bit complex with its plot about dreams within dreams, but it's visually stunning and has a lot of emotional depth. Sounds fascinating, Elira agreed, intrigued by the concept of exploring human subconsciousness. As they watched, Elira was particularly taken by the visual effects and the concept of different layers of reality. Your ability to conceptualize such abstract ideas into a form others can share and understand is remarkable, she remarked. I think that's one of our strongest traits as humans, the ability to imagine and create, Alex said, pleased with her appreciation. After the films, they spent time discussing various themes and motifs from what they'd watched. Elira was quick to draw parallels between the movies and some of the classical Ilari literature she described, which focused more on philosophical exploration than emotional expression. As the night came to a close, Elira expressed her gratitude for the experience. Thank you for sharing this part of your culture with me. I feel like I understand humans a little better now. We're glad to hear that, Alex said as he and his friends walked Elira to her car. There's plenty more to see and experience. Tomorrow, we've planned a day in the city. We'll visit some live music venues and perhaps a museum or two. That sounds wonderful, Elira said, her eyes bright with anticipation. I look forward to it. As they said their goodbyes, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment. The cultural exchange was proving to be a success, and he was learning just as much from Elira as she was from them. The night had deepened their mutual understanding, paving the way for more shared experiences. The next morning, Alex and Elira met early to head into the bustling city center. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the urban landscape as they walked towards their first destination of the day, a local music festival featuring various artists. Music plays a significant role in human culture, Alex explained as they navigated through the lively streets, the sound of music growing louder. It's not just entertainment. It's also a way of expressing emotions and bringing people together. Elira nodded thoughtfully. We have similar practices, though our music is more about harmony and synchronization than individual expression. As they reached the festival, Alex introduced Elira to another colleague, Ethan, who was a musician himself. Ethan, this is Elira. She's interested in learning about our musical expressions. Ethan shook Elira's hand warmly. Nice to meet you. Are there any particular genres you're interested in? I am not familiar enough to choose. Perhaps something uniquely Earth-like? Elira suggested. Ethan smiled and led them to a stage where a jazz band was setting up. Jazz is a great example of Earth's unique musical contributions. It's all about improvisation and feeling the moment. The band started playing, and the complex rhythms and spontaneous solos captivated Elira. She watched the musicians closely, observing their interactions and the audience's reactions. Each musician is playing individually, yet they all create a cohesive sound. It's mesmerizing, Elira remarked, swaying slightly to the music. It's like a conversation without words, Alex added, enjoying her fascination. After the performance, they walked to a nearby park where a hands-on art installation invited participation from the public. This is another form of expression through touch, Alex explained. Go ahead, give it a try. Elira approached the installation cautiously, a series of sculptures that responded to human touch with changes in color and sound. As she placed her hands on the surface, the sculpture lit up, emitting a soft, harmonious sound. This is extraordinary. The feedback is instant and sensory, Elira said, running her hands along different textures. Touch is a big part of how we connect with our world and each other, Ethan commented, watching her explore. Does your culture use touch in this way? Not as freely, no. We are more reserved, usually touching only for necessity, Elira explained, her voice tinged with wonder. They spent the rest of the afternoon exploring different sensory experiences. At each stop, Elira's understanding of human interaction deepened. When they reached a small cafe, Alex decided it was time for a break. As much as we've been walking and exploring, I think a cup of coffee might be in order, Alex suggested, guiding them to a table. As they sat, Elira continued the conversation. All these experiences, music, art, touch, they're interconnected in your culture. It's very different from mine. It's one of the things we pride ourselves on. Our diversity in expression, Alex said, handing her a cup of coffee. I can see why. It makes your world very vibrant and full of life, Elira responded, taking a sip of her coffee carefully. Is there anything similar on your planet? Any communal activities? Ethan asked, curious about her world. Elira paused, considering. We do have gatherings, but they are more about collective meditation and reflection. We focus on unity and understanding. That sounds very peaceful, Ethan noted. It is, but I am beginning to see the beauty in your forms of expression, Elira admitted, looking around at the bustling cafe. As the day wound down, Alex, Ethan, and Elira made plans to visit a museum the next day. There's so much more to show you, Alex promised, excitement evident in his voice. Elira smiled, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and curiosity. I am looking forward to it. Thank you both for such a revealing day. They parted ways outside the cafe, each of them enriched by the day's experiences, eager for the next day's adventures. The morning was bright and fresh as Alex and Elira approached the city's renowned Museum of Modern Art. Today, they were joined by Alex's friend and fellow cultural enthusiast, Mark, who specialized in visual arts. Modern art can be quite impactful, using visuals to express complex emotions and ideas, Mark explained as they entered the museum's grand foyer. It's a bit different from the classical art we saw the other day. Elira looked around, taking in the bold colors and unconventional forms. It seems very expressive, almost challenging in its approach. That's a good way to put it, Alex agreed, leading the way to the first exhibit. As they moved through the museum, Mark pointed out several key pieces, discussing the historical and cultural context of each work. Elira listened intently, occasionally asking insightful questions that showed her deepening understanding of human expression. At one particularly striking piece, a large canvas splattered with myriad colors, Mark paused to observe Elira's reaction. This piece is meant to evoke the chaos and beauty of human emotions. What do you feel when you look at it? Elira tilted her head, considering. I see struggle but also freedom. It's as if the artist was releasing their feelings without restraint. Exactly, Mark said, impressed. It's about letting go, which can be a cathartic experience for humans. As the tour continued, Elira's questions became more focused on the interaction between individuals in human society, particularly those involving more intimate or personal expressions. Sensing her interest, Alex decided it might be the right moment to discuss a more personal aspect of human culture, romantic affection. Since you're curious about personal expressions, maybe we should talk about another form of human interaction. Romance, Alex suggested, leading them toward a quieter section of the museum. I have noticed references to this in your films and literature, Elira noted. But it seems complex. It can be, Alex laughed. Romance involves feelings of love and affection between people. It's often expressed through actions like kissing, which is both a simple and profound gesture. Elira's gaze was curious. Could you explain more about this, kissing? Mark smiled, stepping back to give Alex some space. Kissing is a way to express care, love, or greeting. It's a physical touch that communicates emotion directly, Alex explained. I see, Elira said, her voice tinged with intrigue. Is it possible to demonstrate? I am trying to understand the nuances. Alex hesitated, aware of the significance of her request. Are you sure? It's quite personal. I believe it would help me grasp the concept better, Elira replied earnestly. After a brief pause, Alex nodded. Okay, we can try a simple kiss. It's just a peck. Very quick. They faced each other, and Alex gently placed a kiss on Elira's cheek. The contact was brief, but Elira's reaction was one of profound realization. There is warmth in that gesture, she observed, touching her cheek. It's very comforting. That's part of its purpose, Alex explained, feeling a mix of relief and satisfaction at her response. Mark, observing the interaction, added, it's about connection. Through a kiss, people feel closer to each other. Elira nodded thoughtfully. Human connections are indeed deep. I am beginning to see why expressions of emotion are so valued in your culture. The trio continued exploring the museum, discussing various expressions of love and art. By the time they left, The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over their path back to the city. "It's been an enlightening day," Elira said, her voice reflective. "Thank you both for helping me understand these aspects of human life." "It's our pleasure," Mark said, as they reached the car. Alex drove them back, feeling a deeper bond forming with Elira. Today had been a step closer to truly understanding each other, bridging the gap between two vastly different cultures with a simple human gesture. After a day steeped in cultural exploration and emotional discussions, Alex and Elira decided to spend the evening at a scenic overlook that offered a panoramic view of the city lights below. The night was clear, and the stars shimmered with an intensity that rivaled the city's glow. As they arrived at the overlook, Alex spread a blanket on the ground and they sat down, each with a cup of hot chocolate that Alex had thoughtfully prepared. "This place is beautiful," Elira remarked, looking out over the city. "It seems peaceful from up here, despite the bustling life below. It's one of my favorite spots to come and think, or just to unwind," Alex shared. "I thought you might appreciate the view, especially after today's discussions about human emotions and connections." Elira turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Alex, your willingness to share not just your culture but also personal spaces like this, it's quite meaningful to me." "I'm glad," Alex said, smiling gently. "I've enjoyed our time together these past few days. It's been enlightening for me as well." They sipped their drinks in companionable silence for a few moments, each lost in their own thoughts. Then, Elira turned to Alex with a more serious demeanor. "Today, when you explained about kissing and when you showed me, it made me realize how much physical touch is integrated into human interactions. It's much more profound than I expected." Alex nodded, understanding her curiosity. Human connections can be deeply physical. It's one of the ways we express trust and affection. Elira hesitated before speaking again, her voice lower. "Would it be possible to experience more of this? I find I am still very curious about the nature of these interactions." Alex felt a flutter of nervousness. "Are you sure? I want to respect your boundaries and your culture." Elira met his gaze steadily. "I trust you, Alex. I would like to understand more, and I think experiencing it directly is the best way to learn." "Okay," Alex agreed after a moment. "We can go as slowly as you like." They began with simple, gentle touches. Alex guided her through the basics of human affection. The soft brush of fingertips along an arm, the warmth of a hand clasped in another, the gentle pressure of a hug. With each touch, Elira responded with quiet awe, her understanding deepening. As their comfort with each other grew, Alex hesitated, then asked, "Would you like to try another kiss? Something a bit more traditional?" Elira nodded, her interest evident. They leaned in slowly, and this time their lips met in a gentle, exploratory kiss. It was a soft, lingering contact that spoke of mutual curiosity and respect. When they parted, Elira's eyes were wide with new understanding. "Humans are amazing," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "This connection, it's incredibly powerful." Alex smiled, feeling a mixture of relief and happiness. "It's one of the things we cherish most about our interactions." They spent the rest of the evening talking softly, exploring the nuances of human relationships. Alex described the concepts of friendship, love, and partnership, while Elira shared more about her people's more cerebral ways of bonding. As the night drew to a close, they packed up and headed back to the city. The drive was quiet, each absorbed in the evening's revelations. "Thank you, Alex," Elira said as they neared her guest house. "Tonight was truly enlightening." "I'm glad," Alex replied, feeling a profound sense of connection. "I'm here to help you learn, in any way I can." They said their goodbyes, and as Alex drove away, he felt a sense of accomplishment. The night had been a remarkable step in their cultural exchange, one that had moved beyond mere words to something deeply personal and meaningful. The morning after their profound experience, Alex arrived at Elira's guest house to find her waiting in the garden, looking thoughtful. The air was crisp, signaling the start of another clear day. Alex walked up with a tentative smile, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Good morning, Elira." "I brought coffee," he offered, extending one of the cups to her. "Good morning, Alex." "Thank you." Elira accepted the cup, her tone reflective. I've been thinking about last night, about all that we shared and learned. Alex nodded, taking a seat beside her on the garden bench. It was a significant evening. How are you feeling about everything? I am still processing, Elira admitted, sipping her coffee. The emotional and physical connections we explored. They are very different from anything in my own experiences. It can be a lot to take in, Alex acknowledged. Human interactions can be intense, especially those involving affection and love. Elira turned to him, her expression earnest. I appreciate your openness and your respect in guiding me through those experiences. I feel I understand your species better now, not just intellectually but emotionally. That's important, Alex agreed. It's one thing to read about or observe another culture, but experiencing it firsthand is different. It changes your perspective. They sat in silence for a moment, each lost in thought. Finally, Elira spoke again. In my culture, we often speak of understanding as a pathway to wisdom. Last night, I felt a step closer to that wisdom. Thanks to you. I'm glad to hear that, Alex said, his voice soft. Sharing that with you, it also gave me a new perspective on things I might have taken for granted about my own culture. Elira smiled slightly. It is curious how teaching another can lead to insights about oneself. Yes, it's a two-way street, Alex responded, pleased with the turn of their conversation. As they continued to talk, the discussion shifted towards what Elira's next steps would be. She was nearing the end of her stay on Earth, and there was much to do in terms of reporting her findings and experiences back to her people. I will be sharing not only the knowledge and observations about your culture, but also personal insights about human emotional depth and physical expressions of affection, Elira said thoughtfully. And I will be presenting on the cultural exchange at an upcoming conference, Alex added. I'll be focusing on what we've learned from each other, how these interactions have enriched our understanding. That sounds like a valuable presentation, Elira noted. Perhaps it might pave the way for more exchanges like ours in the future. That's the hope, Alex smiled. Building bridges, one interaction at a time. As the morning progressed, they made plans to spend Elira's last few days visiting more cultural sites and gathering final pieces of data for her research. Alex proposed a few more activities that would give Elira a broader scope of human culture. What about attending a live theater performance? He suggested. It could be a good way to round out your experiences with human artistic expressions. I would like that very much, Elira said, enthusiastic about the idea. Their day was spent in engaging activities and thoughtful discussions, each moment adding layers to their understanding of each other's worlds. As the sun began to set, they found themselves back at the overlook where they had shared so much the night before. This spot seems to be becoming significant for us, Elira remarked, looking out over the city. It does, Alex agreed, feeling a sense of nostalgia already creeping in as her departure neared. Their final conversations that evening were tinged with a bittersweet feeling, knowing that these moments were precious and fleeting. Yet, both felt a profound gratitude for the unexpected depth of connection and understanding they had achieved. On Elira's final day on Earth, Alex drove her to the spaceport early in the morning. The sky was tinged with the soft colors of dawn, casting a serene glow over their last journey together. As they drove in silence, each absorbed in their own thoughts, Alex finally spoke, breaking the quiet between them. It's been an incredible few weeks, Elira. I've learned so much from you. Elira nodded, her expression mixed with melancholy and gratitude. And I from you, Alex. Your world and its people have taught me about complexities I had never imagined. It's been more enriching than I could have anticipated. When they arrived at the spaceport, they found it bustling with activity. Yet the space reserved for their farewell felt quiet and intimate. They walked slowly to the departure gate, neither wanting to rush their final moments. I will be compiling a report when I return, Elira said, her voice steady but soft. It will advocate for continued exchanges. I believe deeply in the benefits of what we've started here. That's wonderful to hear, Alex replied. I'll be doing similar work on this end. Whatever bureaucracy we have to navigate, it's worth it. They reached the gate, and Elira turned to face Alex, her eyes sincere. Thank you for everything, Alex. For your patience, your teaching, and your friendship. Alex felt a tightness in his throat as he responded. Thank you, Elira. for opening our eyes to your world, and for being so open to ours. You've made a significant impact here." As they said their goodbyes, Alex handed Elira a small package. "I put together some things from Earth, some books, music, and a few recordings of the places we visited. A little piece of Earth for you to take back." Elira accepted the gift, visibly moved. "And I have something for you as well," she said, presenting Alex with a small, intricately carved device. "It's a recorder. It captures thoughts. I've recorded some of my impressions of Earth and my feelings about our time together. I thought you might like to have them." Alex was touched by the gesture. "I will treasure this always." They hugged, a human gesture that Elira had come to appreciate deeply. As they parted, Elira walked towards the gate, then turned back one last time, smiling. "Farewell, Alex, not goodbye." "Farewell, Elira," Alex called out as she disappeared through the gate. He stood watching until she was out of sight, feeling both a sense of loss and hope. Driving back from the spaceport, Alex felt a resolve to ensure that the bridge they had started to build would only grow stronger. He thought about the future, about other meetings and exchanges that might come from this first step. The sun was fully up now, its light promising new beginnings and endless possibilities.